Are you a music lover and seeking a powerful way to heal your body? If you're navigating the perimenopause and menopause journey and struggling with the troublesome symptoms like body pains, migraines, or anxiety, you're in for an extraordinary exploration. In this interview with Stewart Selkirk, a renowned creative media producer and music artist, will unveil the incredible potential that music holds for you. With the wisdom he brings, you're also going to discover how to select the right music for your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. Our chat went even further. We talked about the energy of music and even dived deeper into the intriguing topic of AI-generated music. So sit back, relax, and immerse yourself with the world of music healing. Welcome to the Menopause Wonder Show, unlocking the wisdom and secret tips for flourishing during perimenopause. I'm your host, Miyako Hazama, on a mission to unveil expert insights for your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. Ready to embrace your prime years with ease, more vitality, and joy? Let's dive in. I'm so thrilled to bring you an incredibly inspiring topic. We'll dive deeper into the power of music healing for women in the stage of perimenopause and menopause, so you can feel relief from pain you might be experiencing and feel better. So today, joining us is a renowned, talented creative media producer and music artist, Stewart Selkirk. So welcome, Stewart.
Thank you
so
very
happy
much.
to have you.
I'm very pleased to be here. My face is probably reflecting that. No, I'm very excited and pleased to be part of this process.
Thank you so much. And I remember a few years ago, during one of my breathing programs, I had pleasure of connecting with a mysterious participant who provided incredibly detailed and insightful feedback about the breathing teaching that I did. And little did I know that person was Stewart. He was the expert of this all the music and also the production part, as well as teaching and so much deep insight on this topic around breathing too, which we shared. We have the passion for life work of breathing, and Stuart, you have remarkable music background. So I'm so thrilled to have this really meaningful conversation today.
I feel absolutely honored and flattered by that. These are my interests and passions, really. Let's just be straightforward about it. Music is my life's work. From a very personal experience, I think many of your viewers will also have had many health issues. I think it's part of life that we go through all kinds of stages and phases, and some of those are joyous and some of those are immensely challenging health-wise. From a very personal standpoint, music has been an immense a part of my life from being a very small child. As a small child, I gravitated towards music because it just felt wonderful. A lot of the sounds and a lot of the absorption that I was experiencing just felt good. So I think naturally we follow things that are not painful, but we still get pains. What I was finding is that in times of difficulty or low mood or whatever it was, as a child, music was my passion and uplift and a part of a kind of early form of healing. In later years, of course, I had a very severe back injury where I herniated a disc at L5, S1. It's a very low part of the back. And my newborn son, he was about 6 months old when this happened. It was a very difficult scenario to find oneself in, with a level of pain that many people have said is akin to childbirth, or can be. And as I pointed out at the time, yeah, childbirth, that process is potentially immensely painful, but there's a joyous outcome. And it's probably maximum about 24 hours of that terrible pain or discomfort. With a back injury, which like that is unremitting pain, and it lasted for 8 months of an inability to walk.
Oh
And
my
then,
goodness.
so what I'm pointing out are the depths of health issues and how music impacted on those. Music and the making of music, as well as the deep appreciation of music and exploration of it, actually healed me. It was certainly part of that process. And then
Yeah.
when I'd overcome that, I was diagnosed with cancer. And that was a malignant scenario. And again, one of life's big blows. I think that it's fair to say that when I'm speaking about music and the positive healing effects of it, I've had a very deep dive into this journey. Music, without any doubt, is a profound healing force for good. And as we touch upon things like pain, and obviously perimenopausal women, I'm aware of the kind of symptoms, and the list is very long. But it does involve
Yes.
pain, it involves mood swings. In a scenario, any health scenario, any life changing scenario, which obviously perimenopausal is, but equally so, cancer or major back injury or anything that affects one's life in a very negative way, music can be an immensely healing part of the process of recovery.
Yes.
And it is scientifically verified. There's been a great
Yes.
deal of research. Obviously, we can then get into the aesthetics of it and
Yes.
what constitutes healing music: irritation, distraction,
Yeah.
sounds that are not particularly healing or have a positive effect.
So what I heard you say is that, of course, you are a creative media producer. You
Mm-hmm.
also compose music, but since your childhood, how music make you feel better,
Mm-hmm.
and not only you have deep academic knowledge about this music, the broad field of music, you actually applied the technique of the healing part as well in your own healing journey of the back pains, also the cancer that people are also struggling. So today, ladies mostly have perimenopause or menopause symptoms. They sometimes think, okay, I lost control of my body, or my body is not feeling like I used to feel. So this is not me. Or some ladies say, I want to get out of this body. So people are actually come to me, they want to reconnect with their body and
Mm-hmm.
also have a very moderate healing process aside from like HRT, a hormone treatment. Some
Mm-hmm.
women experience and have a good experience, some are not. And
Mm-hmm.
we are looking for all these alternative medicine type of solution. And what we bring here to the table is the power that you talked about, really the healing effect of
Mm-hmm.
music.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so thrilled to hear about what would be the scientific background that you
Mm-hmm.
shared with me, that you did a lot of research as well for this topic conversation.
Yes, apart from my personal experience, I think it's always good to have much wider reference. And I've made a few notes, so if I can't retain the entirety of world knowledge,
Of
not
course.
today anyway. Yeah, a large number of studies have been done, and National Institute of Health and many scientific papers. There was one that I looked at which was published in 2018. I won't go into the lengthiness of it all, but I'll just
Yes,
go
yes.
to the summation. I won't
Yes.
bombard anyone with science, but the conclusion to that study from the National Institute of Health was that music listening has been shown to reduce anxiety, stress,
Mm.
and patient tolerance of procedures. And it also concluded that music may also have beneficial effects on inflammatory biomarkers. I can verify that for back pain and in intensive care and post-operative patients. But obviously, as with all human knowledge, it's an ongoing process of investigation and discovery. The solfeggio frequencies to which you've referred earlier,
Yes, I was okay. Just to remind the viewers,
right?
before the conversation, I was searching the Google Music,
Hmm.
and especially not necessary for myself, but I wanted to find some healing music for my mom who had back pains.
Hmm.
And I came to know that there's a certain frequency, like 417 frequency. And there's a lot of YouTube music cleansing of the negativity in the body. All these type of thing are listed. And I was wondering, okay, some feel good for me when I listen, but some sound like artificial. But I was wondering what this 417 health would stand for and whether it's reliable or not.
I don't think there's a specific. I think it's a little bit like homeopathy might be, or other forms of therapy where it's worth trying. The solfeggio frequencies are really a set of 9 electromagnetic tones or drones, which many ancient forms of music incorporated the drone, which is this basically the one note or the one frequency continues through the entirety of the piece. And it does give a kind of ground to the music where there's something quite calming, but not just a drone itself. It's some kind of, as you were hinting at, a synthetic or an artificial kind of electronic drone. It doesn't really seem to have an authenticity about it. Whereas I think if we're going back to more ancient practices where these discoveries were first made, the bell-like sound of a Tibetan bowl or the
Yes.
resonance of natural instruments, and many of those instruments made from totally natural materials, then I think there's a connection with nature to begin with, which roots the music in very healing terms. Of course, the whole planet is affected by electromagnetic vibrations of all kinds. And
Mhm.
I suppose the solfeggio frequencies, some people would say, yes, they have really positive effects. Other people are possibly immune to it or they can't tune into it the same way. But they are reputed to have the power to heal and to raise consciousness. And they do form the basis of many ancient forms of sacred music traditions going back as far as the 8th century. We've got Gregorian chants, monks' chants, Indian Sanskrit chants. So a huge amount of work has been done over human history.
That's interesting.
The National Library of Medicine as well has a great deal on this subject.
Yes. And from my experience, I didn't experience any perimenopause or menopause symptoms, but during my 30s, I went through difficult period. I think the bottom of recovering from a miscarriage.
Mm,
And really wanted to have the children. So I did a lot of like infertility treatment.
mm,
And it was deeply emotional and
mm,
painful time for me. And amidst that sorrow, like deep sorrow,
that was still inside of me, there was like one song that light up my heart. It's a beautiful piece of music. You might probably already know, Secret Garden,
Mhm.
from the Norwegian, like Irish music duo. And when I heard that music, it just grabbed my like soul at a deeper level, and it brings me tears and really the cleansing and relief.
Mhm.
And when I check the other Amazon Music or whatever, Apple Music, and what read through those comments under that exact music, people are sharing a lot of similar thing, and viewers or listener might probably already have a lot of a list of the music. And what I felt from your explanation, there's some like a range of music frequency that might touch our heart at a deeper level, but it
Mhm.
also incorporates the kind of ancient wisdom that we also carry from inherited from our ancestors
Mhm.
era. And
Mhm.
that as a human being, something like really resonate, like resonance, that kind of resonance is working for our bodies to really change the mood suddenly and shift our focus to a more enlightening state.
Thank you for sharing that. That's immensely powerful. And I think that music has the potential for a cathartic effect.
Mm.
There's no doubt in my mind about that. But I think it's almost as if we're getting back to a form of deep connection with the quality of listening. And in the world of noise and distraction and constant bombardment of interference, it's almost a sacred act to honor yourself and heal yourself by adopting this deep listening approach. That is, you, in a way, I would describe it as surrendering to soundscape.
What a beautiful phrase.
I made a few notes, and these may be helpful because I was really deeply thinking about this over and considering this when I was out walking in nature.
Hmm.
And there's some really deep concepts in these, but I would say that the essence of music is a true reverence for silence and peace.
Reverence for silence and peace.
The essence of music is a true reverence for silence and peace.
Mm.
I would say that it has to possess the authenticity of birdsong or the sound of the breeze through grasses. It has to touch you as if you were being refreshed by nature itself. I think that it's not just about catharsis, it's about feeling the joy within and the joy without. I think it's always a strange thing that many people and all of human consciousness has seemed to divide itself in that way. There's the outer world, there's the ocean within, the ocean without. I watched a wonderful TV documentary recently called In, which is I think it's a Finnish or Icelandic term which has many meanings, but it means the ocean within and the inside out. So it's a kind of
Mm.
reciprocal appreciation of experience. Music is an experience, it's a movement. It moves from silence with respect and reverence, hopefully. Otherwise, it is noise.
Yeah.
And it's an invitation to really deeply enter into the quality of listening. And the
Yes.
gifts that can be found in that depth of listening are as deep as any form of meditation. In fact, it is a meditation to fully surrender to the joy and wonder that can present itself within you in that experience of listening. And I
Mm.
think that's meditation itself is potentially very healing
Exactly.
process. As
Mm.
many of the wonderful things that you've shared early on when we first met and communicated, some of the suggestions that you were making, the pointers were so helpful to simply take off your shoes, connect with the earth, connect with the
Yeah.
nature around you, reclaim your own authenticity, your own
Mm-hmm.
nature.
Mm.
And I would say that's what the process of listening is. It's a reconnection with deeper nature.
I got chills.
Hope I'm making sense, but it's a difficult thing to convey sometimes.
Yes, I understand the profundity of what you've just shared about music. Of course, entertainment, music,
Mm,
but more of a deeper, like philosophical, but like conscious understanding of inner and outer.
mhm,
You talked about example of ocean. And what I also come to understand is that many people and also women having challenges of perimenopause or menopause actually avoided listening to their bodies. I'm not saying all of them, but the student who came to me and I helped, once they learned to listen to their bodies with a breathing or maybe music through music or whatever the medium that is, and they came to understand and listen to what you want or your emotion or your physical signs or whatever, then you shared about the relevance of I'm like floating. It's okay to like floating on the pool and totally relax, and then at that moment they feel like new energy like wrapping around you,
mhm,
and okay, I feel better now just
mhm,
by breathing or meditating or listening to the music is a meditation. Just quieten our mind and accept that authentic being that you shared.
mhm. I think that's precisely it. If I just call up another related point, I've got some notes actually on my phone.
Mm.
How shall I put it? If you could just explain one thing before I come on to that, your own experience of music, have you also had that surrender? You mentioned a piece of music earlier, and
Mhm.
that fascinates me. What music has worked for you in this way, in meditative way?
I think for me, it really changes,
Mhm,
meaning that our body's condition changes. Someday I feel always the pop on or the dancing music and it feel great joy. And the next day it changes like classic music of the piano of Chopin or the nocturne that just so aligned with
mhm,
my energy. So it's really what my body's sending the signal of the so much varieties of
mhm,
genres or the type of music what I call is really helpful. But underneath there are some touch point. Whenever I listen like a Secret Garden, okay, oh, brings me like a soul. It's grabbing my soul to the
mhm,
next level. So it's a,
mhm.
like a different type of music play. And do you have any suggestion for women to pick their own music to feel better, for heal better or quicker?
I would say that a good measure that I found was listen very widely.
Ooh,
And,
that's interesting.
but also listen not just to music, just be quiet in yourself. And as you go about your day, a good exercise is just be incredibly quiet, as quiet as you can be, and simply listen. Many years ago, I was teaching some secondary school children. I was a form tutor in a school, and they were very sleepy and not very switched on. It was after lunch, and they needed something. And I
Mm-hmm.
thought, okay, let's try a form of meditation. And it was a listening meditation.
Wow.
And it was a gift because I said, basically, all I want you to do for the next minute or two is to sit and breathe and
Mm.
relax, close your eyes and listen. And then you can tell me what sounds you can hear.
Ah,
And
interesting.
so we created this atmosphere of immense calm in the classroom. And it was almost palpable how the energy was changing. Then there was a bee came through the window and started buzzing around. And then in the distance, there was a cricket match where we could hear some tiny sounds, probably 3 miles away, and distant rumble of some traffic, the leaves in the trees rustling. And then they came back to the bee. And it was a gift that there was a whole soundscape experienced by those children by being quiet that they would never have been aware of if they hadn't been calm, closed their eyes, and simply listened and let go of any thinking. That would lead me to the point that I wanted to make. I've eventually found. I would say that all music exists in the infinite space of deep quietness. And music is the celebration of life, and it is the joy of being. So that when you mentioned earlier that wonderful way of putting it, that sometimes you just want to move, sometimes you just want to dance and
Yeah.
feel that physicality. So it's not all about this weighty sitting quietly like a monk, which can be immensely healing, but it can be, I just need to move. I just need to walk and listen as I walk, or I want to feel that pulse, that inspiring use of sound to move to. That essentially, I would say, does it make your neck prickle? Is there something harmonically or melodically or a combination with words? I'm mainly speaking about instrumental music, but obviously the power and meaning of words attached or working together with music can be immensely powerful, as you described. And there have been so many times, whether in listening to music as live performance or just hearing something for the first time, where I've been absolutely moved to tears. Sometimes tears of joy, tears of recognition and understanding. But there is an effect that often happens with me and other people I've spoken with, where you can feel this almost like a movement of energy in your neck, where it's like a tingling, almost like possibly related to chakras or movement of energy in the nervous system. But it's this response to, I think, being in the presence of great beauty or
Yeah.
wonder or truth, the truth of being alive and conscious.
Wow, that's amazing and profound in a sense that it's really understanding yourself, the journey toward yourself at every moment of our changes and transformation. So it came to me what I heard you say and sharing your beautiful, profound wisdom about this music, even the selection. It's okay not choose classic or acoustic or whatever. No, it's more of the silence. It's sound a little bit of a like counter in music. It's not a sound. No, just quiet. And you share the beautiful story about how you guide children to meditate and understand what resonates with you from inside. That way you get to actually use the power of music to move our energy. How about dynamic flow of energy really run through your body and feel better. So something fascinates me. And could we talk a little bit about this AI music, because you talked a lot about like listening to the birds song, and I also feel highly connected to nature. Whenever I take a walk, I listen to the birds and the bees, and that's so fascinating. But at the same time, there's AI music producing, and I just wanted to share the experience when I created some music for just for fun for the AI, and I listened. I felt like a headache. It's very interesting, but when I change like music speed or whatever, it's artificial, so we can play around anything. But when I did it for some maybe 30 minutes or so, I feel headache. And I went outside the bird song or whatever. So how would you actually see what's happening around the world on around this AI music and how it really don't need to totally reject it, but what is it? What is that AI music and how can we make use of it?
Maybe this relates in answering that. I would say without understanding, AI has its uses, obviously, but there's a kind of mechanistic process, a very hard-edged, logical kind of process at work. But I think it's devoid of so many aspects of music creation which transcend that mechanistic or grammable or predictable approach. Really, what we're going into here is about the nature of creativity in itself and what is music. I would say that I made a note here. It says, without understanding and honoring silence itself, because music essentially is the movement from the silent. There can be bursts of sound, there can be noise, but it can be callous and superficial. Maybe I can explain that a bit more, but I think it sometimes comes down to intention. The intention of nature when we're walking across a field, we're listening to all of the sounds very attentively. There's no intention other than to be. It's pure being. The birds sing for all kinds of reasons, and there's some fascinating research on birdsong, which I won't go into now. But
Yes,
the
we can do the
scientific
totally
analysis of
different
birdsong has been is
episode.
it is mind blowing. As much as anything, it's nature simply being, and I think music is a movement onward from that. It's within our
Beautiful.
human nature to be creative. It's within our human nature to be joyous and celebratory and to deeply honor and respect all of the things that we absorb and all of the things that we can contribute. And I think that I would go back to when I was a little boy and I heard the Beatles for the first time. I think I was probably about 7 years old, and it was magic. There was instances before that when I heard the harmonies of the Everly Brothers, when I heard Vaughan Williams, Thomas Tallis Fantasia for the first time, when I heard Stevie Wonder's Inner Visions for the first time, when I heard Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band for the first time. These, on the day it was released, that shows how old I am, it was incredible. It was life-changing absorption and immensely healing and inspiring. All of those things, whether it's the harmonies of the Everly Brothers or the Beatles, this kind of, this surprise, this new discovery. This is something I'd not heard before. And in a lengthy way answers your AI question that artificial intelligence used in music production is regurgitation. It's the repetition, it's building and constructing things out of the already known. Whereas I think music and creativity are about surrendering to the unknown and the pure state of being, so that in that listening and that cessation of self-focus, you're focusing on what you actually are, which is much bigger than a little mental process going on in your head. It's a
Yeah.
much more vast experience of consciousness. And that's where the deep healing takes place.
Thank you so much for sharing your profound insight around this AI. And I also felt that the pure, you use the word pure. And when shared with me your beautiful album you released on 2021, amongst other things, I would love for viewers or listeners to listen to his album. But what I found Stewart music was that purity, totally letting go of the ego. And you are talking about the intention of the AI, the past. That we have that big database and you design according to intended the health or whatever, and you fix it and you make a certain type of rhythm or music tone, but it's like a thing of the past and there's no novelty or creation on that thing. And also what you share with purity is that about the nature being. So I thought of your music now when you shared this your insight with me, that how we actually not face music but how we embrace music is just like standing in the forest and listening to the leaves or like a rainfall or whatever, but just being without any like brain controlling or moving into like mind control. No, it's like just letting the being and being not only in your head, but with the entire body. So I thought of that, oh, this reconnect us that some of the women in perimenopause and menopause, they say they are losing their body control, but okay, with the music and the purity, when you select the right kind of music that where you resonate, then it brings back the total reconnection of your whole body and mind.
Absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind at all. It's experiential, and I suppose it's a bit like meditation itself, that people say there's a lot of benefits to meditation and sitting quietly and deep breathing, and all of that is true. But that's just a verbal description of it. That is not the experience of it. And I
Exactly.
think that what I would hope that anyone viewing our conversation today would actually just dive into it and experience it. And not only from that deep listening point of view, and not only listening to the music that I've deliberately made for meditation and being really as truthful and as authentic as I could be. Obviously, music in a way is breaking silence. And so I think with that comes a huge responsibility. And I don't think AI or many other forms of music take that responsibility as seriously and as gently and as carefully and as thoughtfully as it might be. It can be offensive, it can be irritable. There's all kinds of ways of interrupting silence. And essentially, soundscapes and music are, in their most creative artistic form, a deep honoring of silence. It's entering into something by saying, I understand what calmness is. I understand what the need is for energy to move. It's life itself. So there's a kind of a balance in how the creation comes about, which is there's the sensitivity to moving energies. There's a sensitivity to breaking the silence and how that's done. I think from my point of view, it has to be done with true genuineness and authenticity, whether that's a really the conviction of beating a drum and the purpose of that, or whether it's a very soft sound, whatever it may be,
Yes.
whether it's a whisper or it's a shriek.
Yeah.
There's purpose in that. But there's a couple of things I'd like to refer to. If
Yes, please.
whether there's an experience that I'd like people to take away from this of really surrendering into that listening experience.
Yes.
But we're all creators. And when we attune to our creative capacity, that also is an amazingly healing thing. Paul McCartney years ago was talking about how John Lennon had lost his mother. She was run over by a speeding police car outside his house. And that very tragic event, how that impacted on his life and his persona and behavior and all kinds of things. And he found solace and growth in making music. He would let out a lot of anger, and so it was a kind of therapy for him. But there was another thing that Paul McCartney said about himself, who had also lost his mother to cancer. I think he was about 13 or 14. And again, an immensely impactful part of a human experience. And he said that whenever he was feeling low or down or depressed, he would pick up the guitar or he'd go onto his father's piano. And it was how engaging in that creative process, almost like the setting aside of selfish things, the setting aside of the mind activity and diving into something which is unknown and an unknown potential. But there's also things that with creativity is, where does it come from? Is it actually you that's doing the creation? Or is it just the nature of creation to express itself through you? So
That's a healing process. So you talked about the surrender. So from the breaking the silence to the music, and so surrendering, and also appreciate the act of creation or creating, even though we are not I'm not a musician or I'm not a composer or whatever, but just something when you listen and be quiet, and then something happens coming through you, and you have maybe hum of some of the music phrases or whatever, but that's freeing up your inspiration or energy. And that, even that process, not just like a responsiveness, but just coming something out from you, it's like a energy flowing. But it's really accepting that process also allows you to heal through this creation. So that's so beautiful. I'm super excited about it. Wow, thank you so much for this such a deep conversation. I think I cannot have this meaningful and so invaluable conversation about the music, because people think that music is a music, a sound, but no, silent. It's not a polarization, but how you break the sound, and there's some responsibility around making sound, and that comes to the music. So I think I'm like uncovered, opening up the kimono type of thing. And I think for me and for many of the listeners, you might listen to some music today or going out for a walk and listen to the nature, or you are having a practicing meditation, but you get some of the learning that we shared with this Stewart conversation, that okay, what I'm looking for, what do I want, or how do I want to feel right now? And coming
sensitive.
back to that honest, like authentic being of ourselves is so beautiful. And is there any last word that you want to share with listener or viewers?
Oh, I could probably go on forever about it, but all things have an ending. But what did I say here? There's musicians and listeners alike may discover the depth and beauty of their own nature, discover their own well-being and the healing power of life's resonances. And I think that's true. And it's what I think we've both been dancing with today in a verbal way,
Yeah.
that it's that simplicity of being that comes from surrendering to just listening, deep inner listening, which is listening within and without. What happens is it's a oneness, that conscious experience. There's no division between the listener and the listened to.
Mm.
There's no filter between the listener and the musical sound. It's one thing. And I think that's what people who over millennia have involved themselves in all kinds of meditative practices. And what is it than that? Essentially, whether it's the pranayama, the breathing, or whether it's yogic practice, whatever it is, it's about surrendering to the experience of that. So there's no separation. And for me, when I've been moved by music, when I've been healed by music, when I'm involved in honoring the creative process myself, there's so much beauty. There's so much beauty. There's so much of a loving nature at the heart of it. That is our humanity. That is what we are. And that I find so inspiring. What I would say is that, can you hear that sound at all? I don't know if it's
Yeah.
picking up. Like a little woof.
Yes, I can hear.
This is like the bee in the room.
I love
Only
it.
it's not a bee. It's my Labrador dog asleep, having a dream. When she dreams, she makes that sound.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. What I would say is that today, or certainly around this time, it's the 50th anniversary of Stevie Wonder's album, Inner
Mm.
Visions. And what I think, it's very appropriate to mention it today because it was an amazing piece of work. I found it immensely inspiring. And a lot of people who think of Stevie Wonder or Tamla Motown music as being very upbeat, early form of soul music and rhythm and blues, that doesn't really touch the heart. It's just something to dance to on a Saturday night. Inner Visions is a remarkable piece of work, and not only musically, but lyrically. And the song Visions, it's such a moving piece of work. It's quite somber, it's quite poignant, it's a very slow song, but it's a purity of expression coming from someone at the height of their powers. And it's talking about that essence of humanity. What is it to be human? What is it? What are we
Wow.
really doing? And this comes from someone who was blind from birth. And it's very interesting that it's called Inner Visions, and the understanding that has come about within this person who is devoid of the facility of seeing, or rather of sight. But the visionary nature of what comes through is truly beautiful words. And
Wow.
I'll be listening to that after we finish our
Yes,
conversation. It's
I'm
going straight on.
excited.
And I'll be saying happy 50th birthday to that piece of music.
Oh, yes. Wow, what a great share, because I know Stevie Wonder and I loved him, but I haven't listened to that music for a while. So I'm super excited to listen to that music from what you shared with us from the inner vision, to understand our humanity of what the music calls us toward. Oh, really excited. So I think today's episode was such a profound understanding of what's the real essence from the real expert. But for women experiencing perimenopause and menopause, I think also this episode, when you listen to it, you get some of the feeling oh, okay, I resonate with some part. And then the different perspective that you will get to understand or calling from you to be quiet and find your own path. And I think this is a beauty of what this transitional period, because when you are like, oh, I'm so good and all this vibrancy continuously, but what, okay, just listen. So this is the calling, maybe the period that our bodies are requesting us to be, okay, take care of ourselves, listen to what our bodies want, and really understanding the silence, the power of silence, and the quieting our mind. And this is so beautiful. Thank you so much, Stuart. And how can people connect with you? And I will surely share the links of your beautiful piece of music. Everybody can access to and buy in Amazon. What will be the best connecting point with Stuart?
I would say that I've recently taken the deep dive into putting together a small website.
Wow.
It's stewartselkirk.com.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
StewartSelkirk.com. Yes.
and it's simple. I'm just keeping it simple. There's no big sales pitch or there's no big plan or anything like that. But essentially, that would probably be the best point of
Okay.
contact, because what I want to develop in that is an open dialogue and access points for people to share and experience and listen to some of my music. But also, it's not just about stewartselkirk.com or my albums. It's much bigger than that. So I think that point of contact would probably be best, and anyone wants to sign up, and they'd be the first to know about subsequent releases. I've been working very intensely for the last year or two in sometimes quite challenging circumstances, which you know about,
Mm-hmm.
health issues, not for myself, but with loved ones. And so we've been living the healing process and
Yes.
being part of the honoring of how one creates to heal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, amongst other things, it was my album that I did in 2021. And so there's about 2 more albums to come, which
Wow.
are music for meditation and well-being,
Mm.
and some other surprises, big surprises.
Yeah.
So,
So excited for your music creation journey. With your deep understanding of the how this music or the making a sound do for humanity, I can't really witness the expansion of creation that you are about to actually share in this world. So thank you so much, Stuart,
oh,
for
thank you.
today's fantastic conversation. And I can't wait to actually listen to your music. Of course, Stevie Wonder for today and your music coming.
Oh, there was one more thing, especially for today. I put together a piece of music, and it's just to celebrate this conversation and everyone who's
Wow, that's a
viewing this
huge
podcast.
surprise.
So what I'll do is I'll be putting that up on the website,
Mhm.
and it's completely free. People can just enjoy it.
Yes,
So,
thank you. Oh, this is a huge surprise for us, our listeners and viewers.
and
So,
it's based on a solfeggio frequency for healing, raising consciousness,
wow,
and it's for
you
pain.
can't miss it. And you can't miss it. So, I make sure to add the link to the description below so that you can access his most like a newborn baby of this healing music.
Us all today. Yeah.
Yeah, so excited. Thank you so much,
Thank
Stuart,
you
for
so
all
much. Thank you.
your insight and wisdom.
I
Thank
thoroughly
you.
enjoyed it. Oh,
Thank you
that's
so
wonderful.
much,
That's wonderful.
Stephen. Sending my best love to you and your lovely family.
Lots of love to you, your family, and everyone who's watching.
Yes,
That's
thank you
where
so
it's
much.
at.
Yes, listeners and viewers, if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to list a comment or question underneath the video so that we can understand and support you on the way, and also share our experience, beautiful experience. Thank you so much. Are you really taking care of yourself and making self-care a priority? Is that enough? Whether you are facing the roller coaster of hormones, navigating emotional ups and downs, or feeling like society overlooks women as we age, self-care becomes your secret weapon in reclaiming your body, energy, and joy. I don't believe in needed suffering. I believe in taking charge of our own self-care, nurturing the inner fountain of youth within us. Because guess what? We all have the power to shine and radiate with more vitality, no matter our age. That's why I invite you to join me in Miyako's Self-Care Sister of the Week. It's like receiving a gentle nudge every week, inspiring you to nurture your body and mind during this transformative phase of life. Together, we'll explore my personal tips, practical strategies, and timeless wisdom to help you navigate the journey with energy, grace, and unwavering confidence. And the best part is, it's my gift to you. This incredible resource is absolutely free. Are you ready to embark on this empowering journey with me? Join me from the link below and embrace your life with renewed vitality and joy. See you on the inside. Thank you so much for watching and take care.